Good morning, it's Kamera. We're on day number 10. We're discussing Genesis chapter 30 to Genesis chapter 31. Before we continue that, though, or get into that, I want to remind you of the promise that Jacob made to God. Remember that encounter that Jacob had with God when he was running from his brother Esau? That was back in Genesis, I believe, 28. Jacob made a promise that if God protect him, God provide for him clothing, food, and he returns him back to his father's land. He will, indeed allow God to be his God. He also, at that moment, promised God a tenth of everything God blessed him with. That's tithing. So now, fast forward. Since then, Jacob has not had it easy. He worked 14 years for the wife that he wanted. He has two wives. One he absolutely loved. The other one, he gotta respect Leah. Anyway, he blessed her with the kids. So Rachel has his love. Leah has the 4 children. I love the way God allowed Leah to have some joy during a time that it had to be hard knowing your husband did not love you, but she did have the children. But Rachel, at this point, we entered chapter 30, where Rachel's having a tantrum. She's getting mad at Jacob because she can't have any children. Jacob's like, am I God? I can't give you kids. You got to talk to him. He's the one who prevented you from having kids. So I just can imagine what Jacob is going through. But, Rachel, there's something about Rachel, though, that we have to keep in mind. Rachel, remember that sparkling eye? I believe it was just a fire she had. I believe she was outspoken. I believe she's that high maintenance. I don't want to influence your ideas on Rachel, but I have my ideas about that Rachel girl. And I believe that Leah really was the humble wife. So anyway, you decide, you read it, get your own perception of it, ask God for understanding, because I'm not always right. That's just my speculation. Anyway, fast forward, Rachel says, I have a plan. I'll just give Jacob my maid, and she'll be my surrogate. So the maid has 2 children, 2 sons. And so Leah notices that she's no longer having any children. So what does she do? She gives her maid, and now Jacob has 2 children with that maid. Isn't that something? Jacob had 2 wives and 2 concubines. He had 4 women that he was sleeping with. They didn't have any protection either. I mean, that's something to think about. Whoa, so much drama. And so now Leah's oldest son, Reuben, he found some mandrakes. I guess that's some type of plant. And Rachel wants those plants. So she asked for those mandrakes. And Leah's like, you already took my husband. Now you want to take my son's mandrakes? So Rachel's like, how about you let me get those mandrakes and I let Jacob sleep with you? Leah goes for it, winning. So she gets to sleep with Jacob. She's so happy. She runs. I can sleep with you, Rachel. So you can sleep with me. Yay. And so what happens? She has 2 more sons, and she has a daughter. Isn't that something? Ooh, look at Leah doing her thing. So now Leah has 6 sons and a daughter by Jacob. So God is a merciful God. He is a good God, because guess what he does? He allows Rachel to finally have a son, and that's when she has Joseph. Okay, so now Jacob's like, okay, my family is huge. I need to get my own place. Remember, he's still with his father-in-law. So it's like, I have to get my own place. And so he goes to his father-in-law and says, I worked for you, 14 years. It's time for me to take my own and, move on. And I've made you a wealthy man. God has blessed you. You had nothing when I got here, barely anything. And now you're a wealthy man. So Laban's like, okay, so how much should I pay? Do I owe you? So Jacob says, you know what? I'll work for it. So Jacob go ahead and work for Laban. They come up with this agreement on dividing the sheep, the goats. And during that time, Jacob took care of Laban's cattle and his fleet, whatever you want to call them. And God blesses him, blesses Jacob to become very wealthy. And so his family, the boys, Laban's boys, says, wait, now he's getting wealthy off my dad. That's not cool. And so now Laban notices, what's going on here? Really? So their attitude changed toward Jacob. Now they forgot how they abused and used and mistreated him all these years. Now he's becoming wealthy and they can't even handle it. So Jacob was like, so the Lord tells Jacob, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to go. So Jacob, I love the fact that he called his wives and reminded them, listen, you know how your father's been treating me. He's been abusing me. He's been taking advantage of me. He's changed my wages 10 times. God gave me wisdom and direction on how to become wealthy. And I followed those instructions, but now it's time to go. His attitude has changed toward me. And they're like, okay, we in. Let's do this thing. So what they did was they gathered all their stuff and packed everything. And they left while Laban was not there. When Laban hears about it 3 days later, he runs after them. But get this. How about Rachel steals Laban's idol? What's up with that, right? What is she doing with an idol? Anyway. So Laban finds out, he runs after them. And so 7 days later, they catch up to Jacob and his family. And this is the thing. God approached Laban the night before and said, you better not touch Jacob. Okay. So now that they're with, they've caught up with Jacob. Jacob, Laban goes to him and say, dude, you take all my stuff. You take my grandchildren. You take my children. You could have just told me. I would have given you a festival. You went about this all wrong. You're right. The lies. Laban would not have done that. Jacob said, I feared for my life, so I decided to do what I had to do. And so anyway, he said, Laban was like, if it wasn't for your God coming to me the night before, I would have destroyed you. Yeah, right. But God got my back. When God has your back, you don't even have to worry about your enemies. When he got your back, that's it. That settles it. So, and Jacob left when God told him to go back. That's when he decided to pack up and leave. So now they decide to make this little, oh, no. Oh, back up. Jacob, man up. Jacob, man up. What do you mean I took your children and your grandchildren? I worked for you all these years. You took advantage of me. If, he got raw with him. Come on, Jacob, manning up. So far, we've seen Jacob to be a very humble person. But at this time, for some reason, he has that confidence. You reminded him. Now look at Laban. Look how he responds to this. Oh, okay. You're right. Let's have a treaty, okay? Now Laban want to bring God up in this thing. Don't you just love the fact that these heathens or these people who don't even know God, when it's time for them to get right, they want you to get in line, they throw God up in the midst. I'm just saying though. But when you're confident in God, don't let people distract you saying, oh, you're supposed to be a Christian. You did it. Don't even go for it. Anyway, I enjoyed that script. It was a long story. And guys, let me tell you, I struggled this morning. I dozed off reading the word. But I went ahead and I did my thing and read the word. I enjoyed it. And you guys, that was day number 10. Enjoy the message. You have a blessed day. God bless you. Bye.